Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. The technique for the butterfly I've used is called stained glass, and the card I have actually cased from a lady in my Stampin' Up team, Karen James. She shared a card that she had made, and what she has done is she has put Wink of Stella on her stained glass, and I just thought it's absolutely stunning. Obviously I've asked Karen if she minds if I cased her card, and of course she's more than happy for me to do so. So many thanks, Karen. Cased, by the way, is copy and share everything. So I'm going to change my colour scheme. I'm going to be using Tempting Turquoise. I'm also going to change my image. The stamp set I've used is the Beautiful Day, and obviously that's a butterfly, but for the video I'm going to do the flower. And the reason why I'm doing the flower is because it has to be fussy cut, and that's going to be a lot easier to cut out for a video than this. Obviously it's not that difficult to do, it's just that you need to be careful with the antennae. I actually cut one of those off, but fortunately it got stuck back down again, so nobody would know if I hadn't said anything. So this is what I'm going to be doing. Right, to start off with the cardstock you're going to need. You need a card base which measures 8 in Whisper White, which measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8, which is 21 by 14.5 centimeters, scored and folded at 10.5 centimeters. And then you'll need 2 pieces of the Tempting Turquoise and the Whisper White, which are for the inside. I've already adhered these in here. So the Tempting Turquoise, they measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.25 by 14.25 centimeters. And then 2 pieces of the Whisper White, and they measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimeters. And 1 piece of Vellum. Our Vellum cardstock is a really beautiful quality and absolutely ideal for this because this has been heat embossed, so this would take the heat really nicely, although you can warp it if you spend too long doing it, but otherwise it's absolutely brilliant. It takes a lot longer to warp than it does with lesser qualities than ours. So what I'm going to do is that piece and that piece, that's the 2 pieces that need stamping. And I have treated ahead of time. I've given myself little lines on here, I don't know if you can see them, to help me place the sentiment in the right place. So first of all I'm going to do the stamping for the embossing. I'm going to move that out of the way. VersaMark and my Embossing Buddy. And my stamp, which is this one here. So I'm going to go over with my Embossing Buddy first. I'm doing both sides because sometimes it does stick on the back. Not that it matters so much on this, it's more important on this one. This one doesn't matter because I'm going to be cutting it out anyway. I don't know whether it's my embossing powder that's getting a bit old or not, but it has been giving me a bit of grief recently. Right, so I'm going to ink my stamp with VersaMark. Stamp it down and make sure you get a really, really good impression. Normally I stand up to do this, but I'd probably collide with my camcorder, so I'm doing it just from sitting down here. Yep, that looks as if it's all fine. Right, now I'm going to do the sentiment, which is from the same stamp set. So ink that nicely. Right. Now, if I've done this correctly, this is going to be so beautifully straight. But it won't be if I've done it wrong. So give that a good press. Yay, look at that. So now I might have found an answer to my struggles. So let's get the black embossing powder in. Unfortunately, Stampin' Up don't sell this anymore. Lots of us are asking for it to come back because black embossing powder is as common in a craft room as milk is in the fridge. Right, let me just brush off the excess here. It looks as if I might have pressed a bit too hard, but I'm not too bothered about that because it's gone where... See, look, it sticks all on the back. Yeah, it's gone somewhere where it's going to be covered up, so I'm not unduly bothered. And you can't see it because I've brushed it off. So there's that one and this one. Now why can't I get any on the outside of this? It wouldn't have mattered because I'm going to cut this. So there we go, that's that one. Now the secret of heat embossing on vellum without warping your the actual vellum is to warm your heat tool up first and give it more of a warm up than you would for normal cardstock. Okay, so bear with me while I just let this run for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay, as soon as your embossing powder has turned shiny, move your heat tool onto the next bit. As soon as you see the magic of it melting, then that's it. It won't go any more glossy because you... Oh dear, I've just scratched that. It won't go any more glossy because you've held it there a bit longer. Right, I can't get close enough to take those pencil marks off, but not to worry, I can cover it up. In fact, there's quite a lot there, isn't there? Where's my paint eraser? I wonder if this will get it off. And it's this bit down here that I'm most bothered about. Oh, that's coming off. That's better, that's not going to notice. Okay, so there's that and there's that. That can come back in a moment. Now what we need to do is to colour this. So we turn it over, work from the reverse, and I find that I get better results using our marker pens. So I'm going to use Tempting Turquoise, and I do one section at a time, and what you need to try and do is to try and get it as even as possible, and this is the bit that I found easier with marker pens rather than our stamping blends. So if you just do one section at a time and just make sure it looks as even as possible. If necessary you want to go over a second time, by all means. And because on the flower we're just doing one colour, it doesn't matter if you go into the next section, as long as each section is nice and even. It was fun doing the butterfly though, because you've got different colours, and you know that you have to keep the colours symmetrical, but it was fun working out which colours I wanted to go onto which sections and to make sure that all the colours blended nicely. I did enjoy doing that. While I'm doing this, I would just like to remind all my customers that it is very important they remember to use the hostess code when they're shopping online. This is the code for March 2018. There is a new code every month, and I'm trying to make sure that the code number pops up in different places so that it's always close to hand for you. And also my Facebook group is up and running now, and it's called Happy Crafting. So I would love you all to join. It's a place where we can share our projects, whether there's something that you've done because you've inspired by one of my videos, or just something that you've done because I've already had quite a lot of people join, and people are posting their projects already. It's really lovely, and the group has only been up and running for 2 days. I am so thrilled at how quickly people have joined in, and I would love you all to join as well if you haven't done already. As I say, it's called Happy Crafting, which, as you know, is my sign off from everything. There we go. That should be all okay. Just turn it over to have a look at it, see what it looks like on a piece of white paper, because that will give you an idea of what the finished effect will be like. In the centre of my flower, I always put some Daffodil Delight, and that is for my pollen. I have done one of these ahead of time and cut it out because this takes a bit of time to dry. For the leaves I'm going to be using Old Olive. Right. I love Tempting Turquoise. I really ought to use it more often. Right, I'm not going to use this one because, as I say, I've already done one over there ready. But I just want to show you how to use your heat gun on this to dry it so that you don't warp your paper too much. I've got quite a lot of black over here, but that doesn't matter because as this is being cut off. If you've got the Stampin' Up heat gun, we do have 2 heats on here, 1 and 2. You could do it on number 1, but assuming that you don't have a Stampin' Up heat tool yet, I'm going to put this on full heat, alright? Just keep moving it so you're not in one place all the time. And you will find that that will dry your work without warping. As you can see, there's no warping there at all. And of course the other thing you want to be careful of is on the other side you have got heat embossing. So you don't want to do too hot this side in case it messes that one up. But that's fine. I don't think the old olive is quite dry yet, but the rest of it is. Now I will just show you about cutting out. If one thing that's going to happen, if you don't make sure that this is dry, if you touch any of the bits underneath, the colour will spread. Like you can transfer that yellow onto the blue or blue onto the yellow. The green would definitely transfer because that is still wet. So I'm going to try and do as much of this without touching as possible. And I'm just following the outside lines. And it is better when you're cutting to move your paper rather than your scissors. I have to say it does feel a bit uncomfortable cutting like this because my natural thing would be to hold as close to where I'm cutting. Like this, it does mean that it's really quite flexible, but I don't want to move my colours about underneath. And of course the other thing you could do is be getting on with the other parts of your card while this is drying, before cutting it, that is. But just to see whether this can actually be done, which obviously I think I'm succeeding. Shh. Right, I'm holding on to blue now, but I just make sure that I'm not going to go onto the yellow or the green. There we go. Not too painful, is it? So let's get rid of that. So that can sit there now. And I'm going to bring this one in because I've got some stamping to do on here. I don't like just having plain white backgrounds. So what I'm going to do is just stamp some little flowers. That's these. Let me show you the stamp box again. Okay, it's just that little stamp there that I'm using. That was the sentiment. That one there says, always thinking of you. I have to say, I wasn't going to buy this stamp set, but when I saw the creations that people were coming up with, I had to get it. Okay, so stamp off because I don't want the really dark one on here. I do normally forget and stamp at least one full colour. And I'm even more likely to do it if I'm talking at the same time. Nearly. As you can see on this one, I just find it easier to turn the cardstock rather than the actual stamp. I'm still doing it down here even though I'm going to be covering up some of it. There we go. So that's that one. Now I'm going to adhere this onto my turquoise blue layer. So I'm going to put tape on the back of both of these. I had meant to put it on there ahead of time, but never mind. Scissors. This is tear and tape, which means you can tear it instead of cutting it where I'm cutting it, but invariably when I try doing that I tear my paper because as I pull it, it's pulling the other side off, the side that's actually stuck to my cardstock, so it tears that as well. So I'd much rather take the extra few seconds to cut it. This is my second take for this video. The first take I got as far as adhering this card front onto the card base and I adhered it upside down. I don't know if I've got it around here somewhere I can show you. I think I can see it over there, hold on. Right, bear with me. Okay, so that's my card front and that's the way it opens. What a silly Billy. So it's a second take, and I'm quite happy doing second takes because I want my video to be enjoyable. But the trouble is when I'm redoing it, I don't always remember what I've already said. So if I repeat myself, forgive me. Yes, I am ready to put this on, aren't I? Right. I'm going to turn it around like that because it's further away from my head, which is exactly what I did before, but when I did it before I forgot that I was actually turning it upside down on a card, so I should have turned the card as well, but hey ho, and that has gone crooked. I can't talk and craft at the same time. Well, there you go, look at that. If you pull it slowly, you can pull it off. Right, let's try that again. That's better. God, I hope there's not going to be a third take. That would be a first. Right, there we go. Now the next bit is my thin strip. Did I tell you we needed a thin strip as well? This is for going across here and across here. The way I recommend you do this is whatever length you need, and total length is 8 inches. So if you take a piece of cardstock that's 8 inches and just make sure the cardstock's straight, obviously, but just slice off one long piece, and as long as it's straight, you know you're going to have the same width all the way. The other thing you can do to make sure that you've got the same thickness, because obviously something as thin as that is difficult to test, if you just put your two ends together like that, if they meet up perfectly, then you know they're the same length, the same width rather. So there you go, another little tip for you. So let's cut this into two. I hope that's was a bit longer than 8, only just. So there we go, that's all right. Only just is enough. So I'll use this and I'm going to use Tombow, and what I'm probably going to do is once I've got the Tombow on here, I'm going to blot it on here because this is going to be too thick and will ooze out everywhere. But by blotting it, it'll take off the excess, and if there's just like a blob of it in a space on its own, it will help spread it out. Come on. Okay, so tweezers. See, that is massive, it's too much at the top here. There we go. Now can I see my straight lines here? Cover that one and cover that one. Didn't mean to do that. Pretend you didn't see that, okay? That's alright. Tweezers are such a handy little tool. Right, let's just trim those bits off. So now we want a piece down here on that line there. Let's try that again. Oops, my card's in that sticky bit. There we go. Right. This bit should be a bit easier because it's quite a bit longer. There we go. That's okay. Right, let's put this away. Trim off the ends. Now I'm going to stick this to the front of my card and try and make sure I get it the right way round. Right, tweezers. So what happened next was I went to go like that. I was struggling to see over there, so I thought I'll turn it around, do it this way, but I forgot to turn this. That's right. So now if I do that end first, That's about right now. There we go. Ta-da! Phew. Cool, I've come over all hot. Right, there we go, that's that. Now this is the flower that I did earlier. And these are great as far as putting glue on to put on here, because you've got such nice fat black lines here. Even if the glue does show through, it gets hidden because of the Wink of Stella that we're going to be putting on it. So what I tend to do, mine screen, yep, I tend to go around all the dark lines all around the outside first, and then all around these. You see it's Tombow's stopping and starting, which is fine, as long as I've got some in the centre here. And just do one up on the leaf there. And all in the centre of the yellow, that doesn't matter, because it's going to be even all over, the same effect all over. Right, let's get rid of this one. Right, which way do we want this? Put it nice in the centre. There we go. And now I do my Wink of Stella. And you do need to make sure that your Wink of Stella is nice and juicy. What I tend to do now is I do it once, leave it a little while to dry, and then I come back and do it again. And I find that the amount of Wink of Stella I get on it for that is absolutely superb. Again, with these nice thick black lines, it's so easy to keep the Wink of Stella where it should be. Okay, so I'm going to go over it again straight away. I'm sure it'll still work just as beautifully. Yeah, my pen's drying up now. I will probably come back over this after I finish doing the video. But by putting Wink of Stella on here, it does help to make the colouring look a lot more even. There was one that on the samples I've got to show you, there was one where Wink of Stella hasn't covered it, but it was the one that I did with Stampin blends, which I just was not successful with. As you know, I'm not much of a painter, and I suppose if you are a good painter, you may be able to do the blends and get a good result. Right, there we go. So that's the card. Can you see the sparkle? Of course I can't see it from where I am. Well, I mean I can here, but I can't see whether you can see it or not. So let me show you my samples. You've seen that one. That was my first one. Oh, I haven't decorated inside. Never mind, I can do that off screen. Now the one that I wasn't very happy with is this one, because the colouring underneath is very, very blotchy. I mean, tilt it like that and you can't see it anyway, but I don't know whether you can see that or not. But that painting is just so blotchy. Not good. Okay, so there was that one. Might as well leave them here for you to see. This one, which I was really pleased with. Which I think would probably make a good sympathy card as well. Okay, let me see if I can find the stamp sets for you. Let you know what these ones are. This one is You've Got This, which is a 2-box set. It's got like this background stamp with it. So that's You've Got This. The Rose one is from Rose Wonder. It's that one. And the Happy Birthday was from here as well. On the back of this one, you see the background here? That is absolutely stunning. I love that. And that one is the burlap. I stamped it off once first and then did the background. So that's those. And my favourite one is this one here, which is from Birthday Blooms. Okay, so that's that one there. Oh, come back. But yeah, I really like that. That was really a great deal of fussy cutting, but it's lovely. And there was one that I thought, I wonder if you could, and I thought, well, there's only one way of finding out. Let's do it. And I did it, and I thought, oh no, that's awful. But when I showed hubby, he said, I think you've just discovered a new technique. So I'd like your opinions on this one, please. Can you see, you can see how that's all bumpy? What I did was I went over this with a fine glue tip, fine tip glue pen. And I thought it would just make all this like very smooth. It's got Wink Stella underneath it, but obviously it was just too wet, the vellum. But yeah, I can see some people liking that. It's just so very, very bumpy where it's all, well, you can imagine what vellum does when it gets too wet. Don't know if that actually shows the bumps. But what do you think of that? I'll tilt it sideways, let's see if you can see. Let's move these out of the way. So you've got a good bit of white under there. You can't really see it, can you? But that really is very, very bumpy. What do you think? You let me know whether I should bin it or whether I've got a new technique going there. Many thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this technique, and I really hope you give it a go. Hope you've learned lots of tips and everything from me. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it, and many thanks to Karen James, the lady in my team, for showing me this. And let me think. If you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to help you, and if you've got any comments you'd like to, well, I'd like your comments back on this one, so please, in the box below. I will leave all the measurements and the products that I've used here in the box below. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally Sundays and Wednesdays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. And don't forget my new Facebook group as well. It is for sharing projects. It's not for selling and advertising businesses and things like that. It really is just happy crafting, which is why part of the reason I called it happy crafting. If you would like to see new card ideas, get inspiration, please visit my daily blog. I normally post a new card there every day, which don't make it to videos. My blog is www.jambecards.com. And don't forget, we're in the last week or so of celebration. So for every £45 or €60 you spend, you can choose a gift from the celebration catalogues. And Stampin' Up have just added, I think it's 15 products from the current catalogues that you can now choose as gifts. Certainly well worth checking it out. If you don't have catalogues and you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you'd like the catalogues, please let me know. I can get them in the post to you first class, so you get them before the end of March, which is when the end of celebration is. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.